Welcome to the Professional Development Coordinators Training of 2026. For your convenience, this webinar will be recorded and posted on the Professional Learning website as a reference for you throughout the year, and in case we experience any technical difficulties this morning. Today's information is going to be structured around these questions. What are the responsibilities of the District Professional Development Coordinator? Which professional development experiences are required by law? What resources are available from KDE to support professional learning in Kentucky school districts? As we well know, the PDC serves as a vital role in effective professional learning. Let's first take a look at the professional and specific responsibilities that you hold as a professional development coordinator for your district. There are several statutes and regulations that will be referenced and reviewed today in terms of PDC work, but the major responsibilities can be found in KRS 156095, and those responsibilities are summarized here. These responsibilities include using data to plan, implement, and design professional learning, looking at student data and connecting it to professional learning for effective instructional practices, and also communicating that information to the schools to support them with a professional learning decision making. PDC work is also including PL record keeping for both those certified and administrative staff. These are the foundational statutes and regulations related to PDC work. I am going to briefly review each one, but I encourage you to read over these at your convenience and familiarize yourself with the intent of this legislation. All of these documents are linked on our professional learning webpage or also can be accessed through the Legislative Research Committee website. We will begin with 704 KAR 3035, Professional Development Plan. This administrative legislation defines several pieces of the district PD plan, including defining what the PD program is and what the program should include. Specifically, the regulation says that a PD program should be including sustained, coherent, relevant, and useful professional learning. This regulation also provides specific language around what professional development should look like, particularly that it be tied to the KAS and focused on content and pedagogy, foster a shared responsibility for student growth among the entire educational workforce, be focused on improvement, and as well be ongoing. In this regulation, you can find the specific qualifications and requirements of your work as a PDC as well. Included also in 704 KAR 3035 is the requirement that each school district develop a process to define a professional development plan that meets the goals established in the model curriculum framework and in the local needs assessment. Legislatively, a needs assessment means that gathering, sorting, and analyzing of student, educator, and system data that lead to conclusions regarding the need for content and learning designs for professional development in identified areas related to educator performance and also student achievement. In other words, using multiple data sources to evaluate and determine the needs of the district and then implementing intentional PL to accommodate those needs. As in the past, the PD plan has had these 5 elements. Each school and local district professional development plan shall contain the following: a clear statement of school or district mission, evidence of representation of all persons affected by the professional development plan, a needs assessment analysis, Professional development objectives that are focused on the school or district mission derived from the needs assessment and specify changes in educator practice needed to improve student achievement. And finally, a process for evaluating impact on student learning and improving professional learning using evaluation results. The PD plan in Cognia is intended to be a tool for schools and districts to use to support designing and implementing school and district professional development. We do not want this to be a compliance document. Instead, we want the questions in this PD plan to guide your professional planning of professional learning in your schools and districts. I like to think of the Cognia PD plan as a framework from which your detailed program is developed. So within this PD plan, a change for the new year in 2027 will be the 2 priority needs are auto-generated into the document from your needs assessment. Ongoing communication between school and district leadership of plan effectiveness will be necessary for this cohesive overall improvement, and it can be revised throughout the year if needed. Uh, as they are revised throughout the platform in Cognia, that is doable. However, if the plan is not started by June 30th, they are no longer available to upload through the system. So just be sure to have your Cognia by May 1st, 2027. The PD plan follows the same outline as in the past. The purpose of the PD plan is to support planning and implementation of professional development. So looking at the questions is, what is the school and district mission? What are your 2 top areas requiring professional development? What are your long-term goals and your short-term objectives? Your intended results, evidence of implementation, and then specifically these bullets below, what data are you going to be collecting? Who will be collecting that data? And the frequency of the data analysis, honing in on those. So cooperative learning across all content areas will be embedded within this. So our indicators of success, improved informative assessment data, teacher efficacy, and perception data, and ongoing classroom data points. Our target audience here is who will specifically be impacted by your PD experience. The situation could be everyone. If it's a school or district-wide initiative, like such as a Kagan cooperative learning content option. However, most focused PD is with a specific group of educators. Specific resources in this category, resources to support the professional money, the funding, the technology, the instructional resources, the vendors, release time, KDE modules, companies, etc. Listing possible funding sources was new in 2026, so will you utilize a grant, title funding, school funding, outside funding? If possible, how much funding are you needing? Will you need to purchase a textbook series, materials for math manipulatives, science equipment, social studies specific materials, etc., things that go with your HQIR? Those are questions that will be embedded. And finally, in your ongoing supports, what supports will you need for this implementation? Do you need district level coaches, building level coaches, monthly PLC using instructional resources, etc.? The good news here, the last section of the PD plan provides the opportunity to upload any additional information. Our hope and intention here is for schools and districts to use this area and upload actual plans, record-keeping tools, spreadsheets, tracking tools, etc., which may include details of your PD plan to outline the professional learning for the school year. A huge change in 2027 is that you do not have to have any additional information to upload. You can leave this section blank. You do not need to add the NA in the space below as you did last year. An additional example would be related to the target audience question. Strong responses would be specifying a specific group of teachers, such as elementary mathematics teachers using a certain curriculum, versus a weak response of all teachers. On the screen, you will see a few more examples that you can take a moment and read through. This worksheet is intended to guide districts and schools as you plan professional development for the following school year. The wording on the worksheet is identical to the wording of the Cognia PD plan and provides space for leaders to make notes or prepare information that can easily be transferred to the PD planning tool in Cognia. The updated version of this worksheet will be linked to our professional learning webpage in the fall of 2026. In summary, upload due date is May 1st, 2027 for our 27-28 school year. Priority needs will be automatically generated from the needs assessment. Use the system to support your PD planning process in the spring of 2027. I encourage you to think about the language and examples provided within the PD questions for specific information to guide in planning your more robust professional development plan. Please feel free to reach out to Renee Yates at education.ky.gov for further questions. Continuing with legislative responsibilities, KRS 156095 includes some additional language related to professional development programs designed, particularly the relationship between professional learning and instruction. The statute also provides guidance related to the professional development coordinator's role, long-term improvement plans, suicide prevention awareness and training requirements, and trainings on child abuse and neglect, which I will talk more about later. The implementation of the online learning platform is also included in this statute, which we will discuss later. The KRS 158070 is referred to as the School Calendar Bill, but there are two particular sections related to your work as a PDC. The first section I want to highlight is the specific language to certified staff PD requirements. Each local board of education shall use 4 days of minimum school term for professional development and collegial planning activities for professional staff without the presence of students pursuant to the requirements of KRS 156095. At the discretion of the superintendent, 1 day of professional development may be used for district-wide activities and for trainings that mandate by state or federal law. The use of 3 days shall be planned by each school council, except that the district is encouraged to provide technical assistance and leadership to school councils who maximize existing resources and encourage shared planning. The technical assistance referenced here is aligned to another statute that follows, but opens the door for PDCs to work collaboratively with school councils in planning their needs-based PL for teachers. The definition of student instructional year and teacher professional day are also included in this statute. The second part of the school calendar bill I want to mention provides language regarding flexible PD plans, which summarized here. A local board may approve a school flexible professional development plan that permits teachers or other certified personnel within a school to participate in PD activities outside of the days scheduled in the school calendar on the regularly scheduled hours in the school workday and receive credit towards the 4 professional development requirements within the minimum of 185 days that a teacher shall be employed. In order to do this, the option must be reflected in the school's professional development component of their school improvement plan and approved by the local school board. While KRS 160345 provides guidance on site-based decision-making councils, this statute was mentioned earlier in terms the school bill, calendar bill regarding how your PDC work can support intentional planning at the school level. So the language in this statute specifically links back to that KRS 156095 and technical assistance that should be provided to school councils in developing their plans. This is a great opportunity to provide data and share your expertise with schools as they plan their needs-based PL for their staff and help them be aware of the characteristics of high-quality professional learning. ELA Instructional Leader KRS 156101, the Effective Instructional Leadership Act defines an instructional leader as requirements identified within the KRS 156101, the Effective Instructional Leadership Act, also known as ELA. Instructional leader shall be defined as an employee of public schools of the Commonwealth employed as a principal, assistant principal, supervisor instruction, guidance counselor, director of special education, or other administrative position deemed by the EPSB to require an administrative certificate. Each instructional leader shall participate in continuing intensive programs designed especially for instructional leaders. The intensive training programs to include no fewer than 21 participant hours. Intensive and designed specifically for instructional leaders, competency-based training based to improve their effectiveness as a leader, evaluated for approval in terms of program content, instructional processes, and impact upon participants. Content of proposed training must align with the professional standards for educator leader standards. Conferences do not require and do not receive an ELA number. This allows districts to award up to 6 hours of ELA credit to instructional leaders each year for educational conferences. And finally, verification of attendance at approved ELA trainings and copies of program certificates shall be recorded with the Professional Development Coordinator no later than June 30th of each year. So 21 hours is required, 42 hours for renewal. A local district shall keep on file documentation of compliance with KRS 156101, Section 4, for each instructional leader employed by the school district, including a copy of the training certificate. By August 30th of each year thereafter, the local school district shall report to the Kentucky Department of Education the name of any instructional leader who fails to complete the 21 hours of training required under the KRS 156101. Use the less than 21 hours link within the ELA application to complete this report. All certificates shall be kept on file for 3 years by each local district for each participant. If a participant becomes employed by another district, the original file shall be sent to the instructional leader and a duplicate copy to the new employer. Approval of training programs shall be granted for a period of 1 year. And finally, proposals must be submitted at least 30 days prior to the first scheduled program to be reviewed for approval. As a reminder, Senate Bill 70 was amended KRS 156560 to establish an optional performance-based professional development pilot program beginning in the 23-24 school year and continuing through the 25-26. If a school district was to establish this pilot program, they will be required by Kentucky Department of Education to report the findings to the Interim Joint Committee on Education on the pilot projects that attribute the attributes of the quality performance-based professional development and the practices measuring effectiveness by August 1st of 2027. So before reviewing our required trainings, I want to provide a short summary of the major work for professional development coordinators from a processes perspective. Planning, implementing, and evaluating should be interwoven into a large portion of this work, reviewing multiple data sources and determining the needs of the district and individual schools, and then work with the school leaders and councils to support them, connecting the PL to their identified needs. Our next section today is regarding the legal requirements of professional development hours. There have been a few minor changes this school year, and we will talk about that in just a moment. So, required professional development. These trainings are those required by either state or federal law. The most updated list is on the website, and it has been updated to reflect the changes for the new year. The list of trainings also provided minimum requirements. Your district determines if additional training is needed through policy board. Active shooter training per KRS 156095 Section 7A. By November 1st of each year, a minimum of 1 hour of training on how to respond to an active shooter situation shall be required for school district employees with job duties requiring direct contact with students. 12 months after the initial hire and at least once every 4 years thereafter. How to respond to an active shooter training prepared by the Kentucky Department of Criminal Justice Training in collaboration with the department, the Kentucky Law Enforcement Council, and the Center for School Safety. Per KRS 156095 Section 2, all certified school employees and public charter schools employees shall complete at least 1 hour of each of the following trainings within the 12-month initial hire and at least one of every 4 years afterwards. The Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention, Recognition, and Reporting training from the list of trainings approved by the department in accordance to subsection 7 of this section. This also requires the KDE to develop and maintain a list of approved comprehensive evidence-informed trainings on child abuse, neglect, prevention, recognition, and reporting that encompasses child physical, sexual, and emotional abuse and neglect. Local boards of education must adopt one or more of these trainings from the list approved by the department to be implemented by the schools. Statute further requires that the training be web-based or in person and cover a minimum of the topics: recognizing child physical, sexual, and emotional abuse and neglect, reporting suspected child abuse neglect in Kentucky as required by the KRS 620030 and the appropriate documentation, responding to the child, and also understanding the responses of the Child Protective Services. Trainings must also include a questionnaire and other basic assessment tools upon completion to document the basic knowledge of training components. The list of available trainings may be accessed via the KDE's Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention website. The following trainings have been approved for district use: FACE IT, Recognizing and Reporting Child Abuse and Neglect, Child Abuse and Neglect Recognition and Reporting, Child Abuse Mandatory Reporting, Kentucky. Every public school shall prominently display the statewide child abuse hotline number administered by the Cabinet for Health and Family Services and the National Human Trafficking Reporting Hotline number administered by the United States Department of Health and Human Services. Again, this can be found on our webpage. Per KRS 156095 Section 2, we discussed that this is required high-quality evidence-based suicide prevention training, including risk factors, warning signs, protective factors, response procedures, referrals, post-interventions, and the recognition of signs and symptoms of possible mental illness. As used in the paragraph, post-intervention means a series of planned supports and interventions with persons affected by a suicide for the purpose of facilitating the grieving or adjustment process, stabilizing the environment, and reducing the risk of negative behaviors, and limiting the risk of further suicide through contagion. KRS 158039 requires the Kentucky Cabinet for Health and Family Services to post on its website high-quality, evidence-based Suicide prevention awareness information, which shall include information on recognizing the warning signs of suicide crisis. The website shall include information related to suicide prevention training opportunities offered by the Cabinet or an agency recognized by the Cabinet as a training provider. Seizure disorder training, self-study review of seizure disorder materials, and the self-study review shall be in addition to the 4 days required in the KRS 158070, Section 3. Bloodborne pathogens training is a federal requirement for all district staff and should be done on a yearly basis. This is not in the once every 4-year cycle option. Another training is the physical restraint and seclusion training. This regulation states that schools and districts are required to have policies and procedures in place regarding physical restraint and seclusion training, and also must ensure that all school personnel are aware of and trained in multiple positive supports and intervention. This is a yearly requirement. First aid and CPR training is not required by all staff, but there is a requirement that at least one adult in each school be certified in CPR for infants and children. Your district may choose to have more than one person trained in this, but it is a district decision. There are often questions about this in terms of certified staff earning PD credit for this training, and that also is a district decision based on local policy. The following slides do provide links to the training for the 4 areas. With the requirements for PL as well as the responsibility of developing the district plan, the KDE has resources available to support this work. The Kentucky Learning Hub is Kentucky Department of Education's centralized professional development platform for educators across the Commonwealth. Think of it as a one-stop shop location where teachers, administrators, instructional coaches, and other education professionals can access high-quality professional learning anytime and anywhere. The hub is built on the Canvas learning management system and allows KDE offices to create engaging, accessible, and sustainable learning experiences. These offerings can be completely self-paced, facilitated by a presenter, or delivered in a blended format depending on the needs of our audiences. Beyond serving students, the Hub also provides a structured process for KDE content creators. Ultimately, the goal of the Kentucky Learning Hub is to make high-quality professional learning easy to find, easy to access, and impactful for every Kentucky educator while providing a consistent statewide learning experience. You can access our hub here or on our Kentucky webpage. Our professional learning bulletin board is moving to retirement. We are hosting an updated catalog where you can find those listings. While the PLBB and while the PLBB and Kentucky Learning Hub provide a large amount of opportunities, KDE has a multitude of other resources that support standards implementation and professional learning on the kystandards.org. When you click on your standards resources, it will take you to a page where the resources are divided into 2 categories: general resources and content-specific resources. As you can see, there are many resources available, but our purpose today, I want to highlight a few that may be of interest to you in the role as PDC, specifically focusing in on the model curriculum framework. The first section of the model curriculum framework is going to support schools and districts in strengthening their Tier 1 instruction. In our first section, The curriculum development process outlines a process districts can use to articulate their instructional vision for specific content areas and to develop and implement a local curriculum aligned to the vision and anchored in the locally selected high-quality instructional resources. The second section focuses on the PLC processes to provide high-quality job-embedded professional learning to support teachers in effectively implementing the local curriculum. The following two sections focus on balanced assessment and evidence-based instructional practices to improve the quality of instruction for students. Focusing in on the curriculum development process, it has 4 phases. Phase 1 is preparing for the process, thinking about timelines, budget, forming curriculum development teams. Phase 2 provides guidance on articulating a local instructional vision for these content areas of focus. Phase 3 focuses on selecting high-quality instructional resources aligned to the instructional vision, and then using them to develop that local curriculum. And then finally, phase 4 provides guidance on that implementing and the monitoring of that curriculum over time. Here you can see the importance of high quality professional learning in this visual, which highlights the 4 key elements needed to strengthen our Tier 1 instruction at the local level. HQPL is the key element 3, and it serves as the connection between the key element 2 and the key element 4 that helps to ensure that teachers effectively use the HQIR to provide that high quality instructional time for all students to have that positive student experience and outcome. To support the move towards curriculum-based professional learning here in Kentucky, we have created the CBPL guidance document, which can be found within Phase 4, Step 2 of our curriculum development process. This slide shows the organization of the document within those 2 main sections. The first section is the introduction, and it helps to define CBPL and highlights the enabling conditions that support it. The second overall section examines the 3 stages of CBPL and provides for each key questions to consider and key tools to support their work. The 3 stages of curriculum-based professional learning to support teachers and leaders in moving towards retirement and refinement and establish sustainability are launching PL, early implementation PL, and that ongoing PL. For each stage, you will find a brief stage description, followed by bullet highlights and the types of CBPL experiences needed to reach the outcomes of that stage. Here we see that what that looks like for stage 2 and that early implementation PL. So to make this curriculum development process more manageable, district leaders should consider establishing a curriculum review cycle that focuses on a limited number of content areas per year in a repeating cycle. This is critical in helping districts to manage the work and the budget in ways that is not overwhelming. District leaders may want to consider establishing a cycle that aligns with the standards review process of the Kentucky Department of Education. So thinking, how does all of this connect? The CDIP, the HQIRs, and the professional learning. In thinking about requirements of district planning and the connection to professional learning, there are some common trends within local comprehensive district improvement plans and PD plans. So in many districts, the goals focus on improving proficiency in one or more content area. One effective strategy for improving proficiency is to provide teachers and students with access to high-quality instructional resources. Effective implementation of HQIRs does require ongoing high-quality professional learning. As a major thought provoker, as you step into this PDC role, you might How might your district PD plan incorporate the specific high-quality professional learning experiences that are needed to improve the quality of instruction and student outcomes? And how can you support that work as a PDC? There are many districts that have fully immersed themselves in this process and have success stories to support the importance of this work. If you have any questions related to high quality instructional resources or curriculum-based professional learning, please reach out to Fox and Misty as their emails are here and the links provided to the right as well. They will be able to provide you more information needed in this area. Moving forward, our PDC Exchange cohort for the 26-27 year will be 1-hour virtual sessions via Teams. Our months are to include September, November, January, March, and May. We will be doing updates on statutes, regulations, in-depth collaboration on professional development tools, community of practice through the Kentucky Learning Hub. We encourage all PDCs to join to build that community of practice. To finish up, we have similar to our Kentucky Early Literacy Leadership Network, KYLN. This is targeting mathematics education specifically, and the goals of this network are to provide opportunities for district and school leaders to connect and learn from one another, build sustainable district level models for numeracy instructional programs connected to high quality instructional resources, and develop strong systems and structures for high quality mathematics instruction. And finally, support leadership and professional learning communities and effective planning practices. If you are interested in joining, please use the QR code on the screen and fill out the information. Another professional learning opportunity to support English learners. The KDE and WIDA are partnering for Fall 2026 professional learning opportunities. Registration details will be available in August via Title III coordinators and the English Learner Education Connect newsletter. This is an in-person workshop in Lexington. Writing and multilingual learners in the elementary grades September 29th through 30th. Teacher leaders planning. We also have virtual webinar series for an hour and a half each, nurturing speaking growth and expanding reading instruction with multilingual learners. Those have separate dates as well. The KDE 2026 Continuous Improvement Summit will be taking place in September in Lexington, and there will be an expanded focus on English learners during this. The featured session will include Talk It Out, leveraging oral language to support EL in the science of reading, unlocking potential, Better Together, maximizing success for multilingual learners through co-teaching. All of these opportunities, including others as well through the KDE, will be at the Continuous Improvement Summit on September 21st and 22nd in Lexington. Finally, if you are interested in joining the Kentucky Early Literacy Leadership Network, if you are interested in this, please join via the Google form here with the contact information. This empowers district teams to develop and implement an effective strategy for K-5 literacy grounded in the HQIR, specifically focusing on building sustainable leadership level models for implementing early literacy instructional programs connected to HQIR, developing strong systems and structures for early literacy instruction in the school district, and leadership support of teacher professional learning and effective practices. Thank you to everyone who was able to join. Your role as a professional development coordinator is undoubtedly one of the most impactful roles in a district. Your work and dedication to students across Kentucky does not go unnoticed, and as always, if there's anything we can do to support you, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you and have a wonderful day.